Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. It is Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. We are joined here tonight by Kate Gosselin, right over here with her angry face, and then Jon and his two of the sextuplets, Hannah and Collin. And look at how smiley they are. Yes, Jon is happy these days because after 10 years he can finally speak out because a NDA that had been placed by the network and Kate when they got divorced in 2009 expired in the fall of 2009, and Jon has been all over the place talking to just about anyone about everything related to what's going on with his kids. He appeared recently on the Dr. Oz show. He's been interviewed multiple times by the Daily Mail, and then yesterday was actually featured on a podcast called, I think it was called First Thing Father, where he spoke in detail about his first-class fatherhood, where he spoke in detail about the lengths that he's had to go and the steps he's had to take over the past 10 years to gain custody of his children and to work through the courts between he and his ex-wife, Kate. So in this podcast, it was about a 21-minute podcast, very informal, very low sort of. The podcast is sort of for men who are becoming fathers, and in this specific episode, we're talking about the struggles of men and the issues they have with the court systems when it comes to custody in relation to divorces. Notoriously, for over the history, courts have favored mothers, and because of that, fathers are not often awarded primary custody. They often have a lot of, it takes them a lot of time and effort in order to, if they want to have full custody. A court has very hard time seeing a mother as a vindictive human being or doing the wrong thing. And because of that, fathers have sort of an uphill battle if they want access to their children. And in this case, he actually opened up, which I thought was amazing. And he talked about everything that he and his wife, or everything that he's done over the past 10 years. And it's so he said he's been doing this for 12 total years now. And he said since this all started, he has gone back and forth between having shared custody, having joint legal custody, having his legal custody taken away from him, getting back legal custody. And he got back legal custody, he said, when Hannah was 12 years old. He said when she was 12, she let him know that she wanted to live with him full time. And so he went to court and he obtained full legal custody, or primary legal custody of Hannah, and then they shared joint. He had primary physical custody of Hannah with joint legal with Hannah. So he's the primary custodian for Hannah. And he says that in the course of 12 years, as he's been working through the court system, he has had 9 attorneys and has spent $1.3 million on cases between him and Kate. Now, the interesting piece that he talked about in this podcast that I think is most relevant to this, because there's been this big, huge media issue around Collin. If you remember, Jon had gone public a few years ago and said that he didn't know where his son Collin was, that Kate had withheld information about him. He hadn't seen him in a while. He last saw him when he was picking kids up from school. He hadn't seen him since. Kate refused to tell him where he was, didn't know what was going on, and he had to go through the court system to figure it out, but he didn't actually find out about anything until Collin wrote a letter to him with a crayon, gave it to one of his friends, and then that friend reached out to Jon's manager and gave the note to him. And in it, Collin said that he was stuck at this institution, that Kate had put him there, that he didn't need to be there, he didn't want to be there, and that his mother had done terrible things to him and that this place was not treating him right. And at that point, Jon said that after receiving that, he went through the court system to get custody back of Collin. But he was awarded sole custody of Collin. And the interesting thing that he noted today, which has not been disclosed, is that there's a court-ordered no contact. Kate is not allowed contact at all with Collin, according to Jon, and that was signed off by a judge. So basically, Collin has an order of protection out against his mother. That's damning. Now, perhaps the most interesting aspect of this is that because of that, Kate is not allowing Collin to see his siblings. I'm not kidding. So he says that Kate is not only not permitting Collin to have a relationship with, so Kate can't have a relationship with Collin, so she's alienating his siblings from Collin. He says that Hannah is allowed to have access to the siblings, but she does not allow Collin to have access to his siblings. The remaining 4 children, it's their decision what they want to do and whether or not they want to go with them. But he said they do have a court guardian ad litem that can manage any disputes that come up between him and Kate. And if a child has something that they want to talk about where they don't feel like they're being heard, or say Kate says this is what, like, say she said this is what Alexis says, but then Alexis can actually call the guardian ad litem and say, no, this is actually what I said. And so he said that the guardian ad litem has been a really great go-between and a good advocate for the kids, and then that guardian ad litem can go and speak to the court on behalf of the kids. He said that his relationship with Hannah and Collin is great at this point, but he's kind of not satisfied about what's going on between the siblings at this point, and he wants the kids to all have a relationship together, and he said he's not going to stop fighting until they're all going to be in one place. He said that in order to reunite like the 4 with Hannah and Collin, they're going to have to go through therapy, and he says they have therapy, they have family therapy that they can do. He just needs them to be willing to do that. But he's concerned because they're soon to be 16. And he said at this point, it might get to a point where they just don't want to do this. He's hopeful that there could be reunification, but he's not sure. But he and his family with Hannah and Collin are going to continue to go to therapy, and they're going to continue to work towards having those relationships. And he said he isn't going to give up hope. He said that his kids are in private. He said he is setting his kids up to be successful by putting them in public school. They're in a very large class. He doesn't want them secluded the way that the other children have been. He wants them to have access to like regular things. He's back living in his own hometown. Interesting, he said that he and Colleen, his girlfriend, actually grew up together, and they grew up 3 blocks apart from each other, which is actually kind of amazing. But because of where he is now, he said he has a really good support system with his friends, his family. And financially, the kids are all set up for their future because of the show. He said he didn't regret the show, but he definitely learned a lot. I just thought overall it was very interesting to think about how things have gone so south in this relationship that the kids now don't even get to speak to each other because Kate is freaking mad at Collin. It's so vindictive. Now, if you remember, TLC fired Kate. She admitted that in court in November after she failed to tell them that she didn't have the proper work permits for their last special that aired in September. The kids don't have and they are at this point, if she plans to do any filming with them, she has to get a court order, which Jon would have to sign off on. And he has already said he will not sign off on any requests by Kate for any filming of her 4 children that remain in her home. So effectively, the 4 will not be on TV until they're at least 18 years old and they can make that decision themselves. So you know how we always are like, oh, the truth is finally going to be revealed. Like, I think we all had this feeling that maybe he was getting railroaded, but now it's like when he's telling you, like when he was opening up about the no contact stuff, I was like, holy crap, things must have been so bad. Like, I wish these kinds, I mean, I don't wish, but it's like, because these documents are not, they're not public because they involve children, it would be interesting to see what is in that order, why it was ordered, what precipitated that order. I mean, we know where she placed him, but what are these allegations? And it's only Collin's story to tell, obviously. Jon said that he's working on a book and he hopes to have a book out sometime, but he said right now he just doesn't have all of the time and the dedication to do that, but he's said maybe once the kids are out of high school, he'll be able to finish the book that he's working on. But it would be interesting once Collin gets older for him to maybe share his story about what happened. I think it would be a cautionary tale to, you know, TLC is just so messy. They're like so good at like rising people up and then giving them fame for absolutely no reason. And they seem to like have this affinity for narcissists, which Kate appears to be, according to Jon. Jon says that she has that diagnosis. I have no idea. That's what he said, I believe, on Dr. Oz. So if you want to watch, I don't want to give away all the details of his, I don't want to give away all the info that he talked about on the interview, because I've linked it below for you to listen to, and you can just hear from him himself the sort of interesting dichotomy of what's going on right now. But it's good to know that at least Hannah and Collin are super happy where they're at. They're doing really well. And he's like super glad to have them back where he grew up. He said that they're at the high school that was his rival high school. And overall, they're doing really well. Apparently, Collin is involved in all kinds of extracurricular activities, and he said Hannah has gym. I guess she's not into sports. So, are you surprised at all by this? There's been a lot of stuff that he has revealed in the last few months, and every time I hear something new, I'm just like, my God, Kate, my opinion of you could not get any worse with each passing day. And then it makes me wonder, at what point does she effectively become irrelevant and we can stop talking about her and allow these kids to be like just kids? They've never been allowed that luxury. So we'll see. I mean, thankfully they have the money from the show for the kids for their education, but at what cost did it do to this family? An interesting thing to ponder. All right, you guys, let me know what your comments are about this show. Please bear in mind, comments will be held and moderated for this specific topic because of the sensitivity, and certain words will be filtered out and not allowed. So if your comments are not approved, it's likely because they are you used a word that's being filtered, and we have a pretty lengthy list of words that YouTube does not like to be said in chat comments. So make sure before you go, you give this video a thumbs up. If you have not yet followed me on any of my social media, check out my description for my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts. If you're interested in helping out the channel financially, you can either become a member of the channel in the link below, or I have a Patreon account as well, which you can find in my About section, and you can join for, I think, as little as like $5 a month. Either way, you can also support the channel simply by liking, sharing, and watching the ads. All right, you guys, I'll be back later. Let me know what your thoughts are. Bye.